welcome to another edition of Did You Know Doctor Who? What you may not know about Doctor Who. This year's Christmas special is The Next Doctor. I hope you enjoy. When writing the episode, Davies was unhappy with the final scene in which the Doctor gets rid of the Cyber King with the convenient Dalek Dimension Vault, but could not think of another way to stop London being crushed by a giant robot. Later, after the episode was produced, he convinced an alternative ending in which Miss Hartigan should have destroyed the Cybermen when she screamed, but she was still in the chair, as the Cyber King falls to Earth. The Doctor calls out to her saying, "Save them." This version would have had Hartigan redeem herself, as she is the one to cause the Cyber King to disappear, with no need for what Davies called a silly Dalek conundrum dimension vault. Julie Gardner felt this would have been a superior, marvellous ending, and Davies said that he can't bear that there could have been a better ending than one that was actually transmitted. The working title for this episode was The Court of the Cyber King. There are noticeable differences in inflections in the delivery of certain lines prepped throughout this episode in the DVD version from the broadcast version, such as, for example, the Doctor and Jackson discussing his loss of memory and the Doctor utters, "You've forgotten me," the delivery of which sounds completely different on the DVD than it does on the broadcast version. In addition to this, the DVD version of the episode credits David Tennant as Doctor Who, as opposed to The Doctor, making it the only instance of his era, barring his introductory credit in The Parting of the Ways, to credit him as such. The episode was filmed during the production of Series 4, the first time a Christmas special had been rolled into the production of the preceding series. This allowed the Series 4 finale, Journey's End, to include a trailer for this episode. It is still considered a part of Series 4. This is the first episode to be broadcast after David Tennant's announcement that he would leave the role of the Doctor in 2010. However, it is the last episode to be filmed and produced before the announcement. The removal of the cliffhanger renders The Next Doctor the first Christmas special to be a true standalone. It is not connected to either the preceding or following episodes, other than the thematic link of the 10th Doctor's mortality. This is the first Christmas special to be set in the past. This episode was the subject of a heavy campaign of misinformation, which included a false summary of the fear factor, which implied that the two Doctors would be left in peril at the end. It also included misleading quotes from Russell T Davies' book, and threats of not having a press screening. The Cybermen seem to have a deeper voice in this episode. The Cyber Leader in this story is of a different design than the Cyber Leader seen in Doomsday. Obvious differences including a black face and an exposed brain similar to the one of a Cyber Controller. Miss Hartigan's use of the expression "excellent" is previously associated with the 1980s Cybermen. This is the first Christmas special for which a new song was not written. The only song heard in the special is the standard "God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen." This has been the main Christmas carol for the Christmas specials, excluding Voyage of the Damned. It's been played at some point in all the rest of the new series' Christmas special episodes. Paul McGann's appearance occurred at the time that the actor was also being heard in the new series of the 8th Doctor radio plays on BBC Radio. Russell T Davies chose the name Rosita for Jackson Lake's companion because it contained the elements of Rose and Martha. It also happens to be Spanish for Little Rose. The episode was the first to feature the new BBC Wales logo following the credits. This is the final Doctor Who story in standard definition. This is the first episode of the revived series in which the Doctor's main companion is a male rather than female. Thus, it is also the first full episode where no female actors are credited in the opening titles. All 10 incarnations of the Doctor are seen via the visual display of an info stamp that contains important details concerning the Doctor. This marks the first time since the beginning of the 2005 revival series that any image of the first 8 Doctors had been shown, other than Peter Davison reprising his role as the 5th Doctor in Time Crash. This is the first Christmas special of the Revive series to feature an enemy which has previously appeared. This story was nominated for the 2010 Hugo Award in the category of Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form, as was Planet of the Dead and The Waters of Mars, the latter of which ultimately won the award. The subject of showing archive footage of all the Doctor's incarnations is difficult. Because William Hartnell's and Patrick Troughton's respective eras of Doctor Who were filmed entirely in black and white, it would have been jarring in the eyes of viewers to feature monochromatic clips of their tenors, next to their latter eras produced in colour. To rectify this, the archive footage for all previous Doctors was rendered in sepia-toned. This effectively hid the transition between styles over a long course of the series. A variation of this same trick with a hologram of the Doctors' faces would be used in the 11th hour. Colorized footage of the first and second Doctors would later appear for the first time in The Timeless Children. The scene in which the Cybermen misidentify the Doctor as Lake through a cyber shade has an uncanny resemblance to the scene in which the original Cybermen identify the Doctor in Earthshock via their androids. Also, the scene in which the Doctor shows Lake the info stamp about the Doctor, which shows all the 10 incarnations, resembles the scene in which the Mondasian Cybermen examine their database for previous encounters with the Doctor. The set for the Cyber Factory is actually the Torchwood hub set from Torchwood, cleverly disguised. The original plan for the Christmas special was a fantastical adventure in which J.K. Rowling would appear as herself in a world driven by her own imagination. David Tennant disliked this notion, which he felt would veer too closely to self-parody. Tennant appeared in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Russell T Davies considered setting the story in the court of Henry VIII, but rejected this notion on the grounds that it would not feature enough recognisable Christmas traditions, since these typically post-dated the 16th century. He also mulled another completely new idea about a hotel which had become displaced in time. David Morrissey was only cast 5 days before filming. And that is it for today. The Next Doctor as a Christmas special is one that has some controversy behind it, but the controversy honestly is kind of lame and stupid. You have to be a special kind of stupid to fall for the very obvious, it's not actually the Next Doctor. I'm sure if you're a young kid, of course you're going to fall for it. I mean, that's just a given. But the fact that there are adults that fell for it, I have to question your IQ levels. I have to question your mental health as well. It was obvious it's not the Next Doctor. It was obvious it wouldn't be. It's just a fun little, title at the end of the day, and it's a fun little adventure. And I do like the look of the Cybermen in this particular episode. I really do like the Cyber Leader look, the black helmet look with the exposed brain. Even though I do prefer the exposed brain to be with cyber controllers, I do just really love that look for the Cyber Leader. I think it's great. The Cyber Shades are a fun little variation of the Cybermen. It's surprising that we've never seen them again after this point. This is their only appearance. They rarely even appear in comics and audiobooks as well. David Morrissey, I think he's a great Doctor. I think he does a great job. I think this is a fun little idea. The idea that there's this man who thinks he's the Doctor and he's not actually the Doctor. He's just a random guy who has somehow been implemented with these these past memories, and of course I just think that's fun. I think it's all fun. I think this is quite a fun story, honestly. I think it's quite underrated as well. It's not brilliant by any stretch of the imagination, but I like it. I think it's great. I think it's fun, and that's all that it needs to be. Just fun. And Cybermen, I love the Cybermen, so there's no worries there. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Did You Know Doctor Who, and I wish you a Merry Christmas.